Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the heavy tank number 6. It's a tier 6 Japanese premium heavy tank. It's located on the south spawn of Siegfried Line Encounter, and this one is under the command of Wazwulf of REBRN. Now, this tank didn't actually have that name, heavy tank number 6. That's a made-up name by Wargaming. But the Japanese did approve of the Tiger tank, and they actually wanted to buy them, and they bought the plans, but they paid for a real Tiger. In fact, they paid twice for it, basically, twice the cost, but it was never delivered. They actually took all the parts of a Tiger, put it into one of their U-boats for transport to Japan, but it never got there. They certainly couldn't transport the actual armour of the tank at all. That was just in the designs, but all the equipment that goes into it was shipped down to the U-boats in the south of France, but never sent to Japan. Now, this one basically doesn't perform like the tier 7 Tiger. This is much more like the Tiger 131, which is a Panzerkampfwagen 6 Ausrung A, or is it the H actually? I think it's the H version, which is the Tiger 131. Now he's firing blind at that KV-220 up the north, and he's just found another tank. The 14 TP takes one round. It's an 88mm gun capable of doing 220 alpha and penetrating 145mm with standard ammo. And you can see Wazwulf has loaded a load of APCR. And the APCR is capable of going through 194mm of armour instead of the 145. Well, he winged that one and tracked him. Now he'll put a round into him. Nice hit. A high roll, 263. Can he get a kill shot? Just misses the rear of the vehicle. The T-28 is a fast little tank. Managed to get into cover in time. The enemy's got an M8A1, and now we're being shot at by a Stug. And he's got our range, and he's actually blasting away. So, yeah, you have to pull back. In fact, he was using APCR, that Stug. One way to guarantee. He's got a 75mm gun. We've got the 88. Well, what else can I tell you about the Tiger? Well, the Japanese officer, who's a colonel, came over to Russia. That engine was damaged in that encounter. Came over to watch the Tiger in action near Leningrad, and he was very happy with it, very satisfied. The Tiger tank that the Japanese actually paid for eventually ended up going, I believe, to the Normandy area, after being shipped down to the south of France, or the parts shipped to the south of France. And effectively, I think it was used in the Normandy invasion eventually. But it was never shipped to Japan, although we don't know if the plans actually made their way to Japan. They might have actually got there. Certainly the Japanese were very impressed with it, but they just never had the chance to start manufacturing them. Mind you, Japan actually did spend more time building ships, and that's what they used all their quality steel for, building ships, because after all they are an island race. So it's necessary for them to have enough maritime assets to win. Oh, he's just got spotted again, is it? Who's out there spotting him? Okay, it's KV-220, takes one in the tracks. And he's being fired on by Panzerkampfwagen here, Ausrung H. See, the armor's strong enough to actually deflect the shots. He's nicely angled at the moment. And there's that KV220 again. Now he's only got a 75mm. Was it 76mm? I think it might have been 76mm, but he needs to fire APCR if he's going to get through our armor. He's only firing AP. And that time we got clobbered by the Stug, and it was an HE round. And he's doing it again. M8A1 trying to sneak up on us. He might have the APCR, but that one round was enough to drop his hit points in half. Standard reload is 6.71 seconds. You can see that Wazwulf has got it down to 5.75, and that Panzer IV is being very persistent. And that round did not go through the KV222 because he's angled. And remember, that is a tier 7 hull on the KV222. So he is going to have difficulty trying to pen that unless he uses the premium rounds. But he easily took care of that M8A1. Even at this range with the APCR, he's going to have difficulty. But he did get that one in, hit the right spot. Now the KV220 is having a lot of difficulty. He still keeps hitting us. Now this is making us fairly vulnerable. The enemy team's only got 2 left, but we're going out into the field basically to try and get close to that Panzer IV. And somewhere out here's the Stug. Remember, the Stug was firing HE at us last time. There's the Stug, been seen, and there's the Panzer IV. Oh no, bit premature there. The Stug's firing us from the other direction. Good hit. There's the Stug. Drive up here and... oh, he's over a ridgeline. It's difficult to get at him. And the Stug's gone, so we might as well just follow the Panzer IV now. The team's coming up behind us. Where is he? Well, we've been spotted, even if we can't see him. Oh, there he is, in the corner. And one more shot to kill. And that's it, the game's over. Badly damaged engine. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was a first class tanker for Wazwulf in the heavy tank number 6. He managed to get a fire for effect for doing more damage than the hit points to his own vehicle, a fighter badge for getting at least 4 kills, he did get 4 exactly, as well as a shell proof for blocking more damage than the hit points to his own vehicle, a duelist for taking down 2 tanks who damaged him, a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In this one he managed to get 8, and he also got a Hand of God for surviving the battle, having received damage from 4 different enemy tanks. On top of which, he got a couple of Battle Hero medals. He got the Steel Wolf for blocking the most damage in the game, and he certainly took a lot of hits from enemy tanks, which just failed to pen, as well as a High Caliber for dealing the most damage in that game overall. The win rate was 8,791. Let's have a look at the team score. The highest damage was 2,597. The second highest damage was only 1,540, so he more than scored the High Caliber in this one. The third highest damage went to the Panzer IV Aslains H on his own team at 1,386. When it came to kills, it was actually the T-3485M on his team who did best. He got 5 kills in that one. 4 kills went to Wazwulf, 3 kills went to the BDR-G1B. And when it came to base XP, yes, Wazwulf got that one. He's the only one to get over 1,000. He got 1,240. 774 went to the T-3485M, and 766 went to the BDR-G1B. He fired 32 rounds in that game, most of them premium rounds actually. 20 direct hits on the enemy, 14 penetrations damage of 2,597 hit points, of which 2,161 were at more than 300 meters. He received 26 hits from the enemy. He only needed 11 to get the steel wall and also the most damage block, but 26 hits is an awful lot. I think it actually, in the end, it was down to that Panzerfahr and the KB220 who just kept piling those rounds in, but they just weren't getting through. 5 penetration shots. Those were from the Stug, who got the most of them in, and I think a couple of the others actually got one in as well. 16 non-penetrations and 5 hits by way of splash, the HE rounds. 1,285 hit points of damage blocked by armor. He spotted 2 enemy vehicles, damaged 6 of the enemy, killed 4, and did 346 hit points of damage assistance. He earned 63,189 credits in the battle, 31,595 from personal reserves, 90,000 for completing a mission, 184,784 credits altogether. It's a very high score. And after repair and ammunition resupply, even though he fired all that APCR, he still came out ahead with 107,949 credits profit. Mind you, you have to take into account the fact that he did get a 90,000 mission completion. 1,860 XP times 2 for the first victory, 558 for this being a premium vehicle, took away 4,278 experience points altogether. Just have a quick look at the armor on this beast. You can see it's rather slab-sided armor when you look at it from the side, and it is thick. It's 100 millimeters at the front there, and on this part here 100 millimeters as well. So that's why some of those tanks were having difficulty. Plus, of course, they were firing at an angled tank like this. And so, yes, they were having increasing difficulty trying to get through. 100 millimeters turns to 146. You can see here 100 millimeters turns to 120. And you're certainly not going to get through the mantlet. Probably the easiest place to actually get through, if you can, is through the sides of the vehicle where it's 60 millimeters, but with the angling it goes up to just about 85. The cupola, well, it's a very narrow target at very long range. It's only 50 millimeters and remains 50 millimeters all the way around. If you can see that there's a slight tilt in the top of the turret there. I think you can see it there. If you can put a round through that, it's difficult. It's only 25 millimeters thick. Effective armor 41, so it is possible to take on a Tiger if you are looking down on it slightly, but if you're looking straight towards it, it's very difficult to get a shot in on that narrow slip there. If you look at the live model, you can see well, with an 88 millimeter round it could manage to get through. If it was versus a 75 millimeter gun, I think he would have a lot more difficulty. Okay, we'll just leave that as is. Let's have a quick look at the modules. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a sore throat today. You can see that the driver's up front on the right hand side's got that driver's port. The radio operator stroke gunner is on the other side, and the transmission's directly in front of them. And of course, normally there's a set of tracks in front of that as well. The gunner is directly behind the driver, and the tank commander directly behind him, the loader on the other side of the tank. And you can see there's ammo racks all the way down the sides of the vehicle, and there's another ammo rack deep inside the vehicle as well. There's a crew of 5 in this one. Engine at the back, sandwiched between the fuel tanks. There's 2 sets of fuel tanks as well. It's a kind of blocky tank, but it was actually quite a fearsome looking thing when it first came out. And of course, the Allies really didn't have an answer until they put the 17-pounder gun in an M4, and then they had the means of actually penetrating the Tiger tank and take it down. But until then, with just the standard 75mm gun on the M4s, they just couldn't penetrate it. But they could if they could get behind it, as you saw in the film Fury. But in the film Fury, they were actually using the 76mm gun, the high-velocity gun. So, of course, they could penetrate the rear of the Tiger with that gun. In fact, they could penetrate, I believe, the sides of a Tiger with that particular gun. They couldn't penetrate the front, though, because the armor was just too thick for the front of a Tiger. So that's why they had to outflank it if they wanted to get a shell into it. And that's why you saw that in the film. But yes, it was a fearsome tank whenever you came across one of these. Whenever somebody heard Tiger over the net, they thought, oh dear, this is bad news. But normally if there was enough tanks firing at a Tiger from enough different directions, then they could take them down. And that's basically what happened to Michael Whitman, the Black Baron. He was in a troop of Tiger tanks cutting straight across the field. And unfortunately for him, there were tanks looking at him from various different directions. Some that were actually directly at the side of him, some that were from behind walls, and of course there were a few people with fireflies as well. So he was being hit by shells which could definitely penetrate his tank, and eventually he got ammo-racked, and you can see why he got ammo-racked, because the shell that went in, and I think it did go in from the left-hand side, although there's various claims to who actually killed Whitman. That shell probably went in through one of these ammo racks and blew the turret off completely, because the turret literally flew up through the air and everybody inside was wiped out. I think the shell came in from the rear and penetrated straight through the side armor, no problem whatsoever. And that was the end of Michael Whitman. I hope you enjoyed that replay. If you did, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And thank you for watching.